The Miser is a 5-act comedy in prose by the French playwright in Molière. It was first performed on September 9, 1668, in the theatre of the Palais-Royal in Paris. The play was first produced when Molière's company was under the protection of Louis XIV himself. It was loosely based on the Latin comedy or Ilaria by Plautus, from which many incidents and scraps of dialogue are borrowed, as well as from contemporary Italian farces. The miser of the title is called Harpagon, a name adapted from the Latin harpagard, meaning a hook or grappling iron. He is obsessed with the wealth he has amassed and always ready to save expenses. Now a widower, he has a son, Clequinte, and a daughter, Elise. Although he is over 60, he is attempting to arrange a marriage between himself and an attractive young woman, Mariani. She and Clequinte are already devoted to each other, however, and the son attempts to procure a loan to help her and her sick mother, who are impoverished. Elise, Harpagon's daughter, is the beloved of Valère, but her father hopes to marry her to a wealthy man of his choosing, Seigneur Anselme. Meanwhile, Valère has taken a job as steward in Harpagon's household so as to be close to Elise. The complications are only resolved at the end by the rather conventional discovery that some of the principal characters are long-lost relatives. Satire and farce blend in the fast-moving plot, as when the miser's hoard is stolen. Asked by the police magistrate whom he suspects, Harpagon replies, "Everybody. I wish you to take into custody the whole town and suburbs," and indicates the theatre audience while doing so. The play also makes fun of certain theatrical conventions, such as the spoken aside addressed to the audience, hitherto ignored by the characters on stage. The characters of Laveur, however, generally demand to know who exactly is being spoken to. Roles: Harpagon, the tyrannical father of Clequinte and Elise. Harpagon is a sexagenarian bourgeois miser whose love for his cash box exceeds that of his children. He builds his wealth by lending at usurious rate while pinching every penny at home, refusing to replace the worn-out clothes of the servants he abuses. The sexagenarian is suitor of the young Mariani, whom Clequinte also wishes to marry. Clequinte, Harpagon's profligate son. Clequinte is also in love with Mariani. Intending to run away with her, he attempts to procure an illegal loan to provide Mariani and her ill mother with money, only to discover the lender is his own father. There is mutual resentment between the two over not only money but over love when Harpagon tricks his son into revealing his love for Mariani. Elise, the daughter of Harpagon. Elise owes her life to Valère, who saved her from drowning just before the beginning of the play. She opposes her father's plans to wed her to the elderly Anselme, who has agreed to take her without a dowry. Valère has saved Elise from drowning and has come into the employ of Harpagon with intentions to win her. Harpagon mistrusts him and suspects him of wanting to rob him. At the end it is revealed he is of noble Neapolitan blood, the brother of Mariani, and the son of Anselme, who is really Don Thomas d'Albercy, La Flèche, a servant in Harpagon's household. La Flèche helps Clequinte arrange a clandestine loan through Master Simon. In a dramatic turn he digs up and steals Harpagon's cash box. Master Jacques is cook and coachman to Harpagon. Anselme, an elderly gentleman and suitor to Elise. Anselme is a wandering Neapolitan noble who believes his wife and children drowned 16 years earlier. At the climax it is discovered that Valère and Mariani are his children and his real name is Don Thomas d'Albercy. Mariani, the young woman whom Harpagon intends to wed, is also the woman woman his son Cléante intends to run away with. She is revealed at the end to be the sister of Valeria and daughter of Anselme, who is really Don Thomas d'Albersi of Naples. Master Simon, a dishonest character. Master Simon tries to arrange a usurious loan between Cléante and his father, Francine. Francine is an elderly woman who acts as a go-between to ensure the marriage of Harpagon and Mariani. She convinces Harpagon that Marianne's frugality will outweigh her lack of dowry, and that Mariani loves bespectacled old men. Harpagon's servants with minor roles include Brindavoine, La Merluche, and Mistress Claude, a cleaning woman with no lines. In the last act appears a magistrate who investigates the theft of the cash box with his clerk, who has no spoken part. Theatrical adaptations. Very soon after the play's first production in 1668, versions began to appear elsewhere in Europe. A German translation, Der High Siege, appeared in Frankfurt in 1670. In England, Thomas Shadwell adapted Molière's work under the title The Miser in 1672 and added 8 new characters. An even more popular version based on both Plautus and Molière was produced by Henry Fielding in 1732. In Italian commedia dell'arte there was already a tradition of depicting misers as the Pantalone figure, who was represented as a rich and avaricious Venetian merchant. However, Molière's play was eventually adapted to opera. Giovanni Bertotti's libretto based on the play was set by Pasquale Anfossi as Lavro in 1775, and in 1776 it was set again by Gennaro Asterita. Giuseppe Palumba also wrote a libretto based on the work, which was set by Giacomo Cordella in 1814. In Russia, too, Vasily Pashkovich based his 18th-century comic opera The Miser on Molière's play. Another musical adaptation in Arabic was pioneered by the Lebanese Maran al-Naqash's Al-Bakil. This was performed in Beirut in 1847. Jovan Stereopopovich, the founding father of Serbian theatre, based his TV Ardika on Molière's play. In this work, the Harpagon figure is represented as a small-town Greek merchant. One reason for so many versions must be the acknowledged fact that Molière's humor does not translate well and requires more or less free adaptation to succeed. The History of Devrek Taco de Beer's 1863 translation into Dutch provides another notable example. In 1878 he adapted this to Dutch contemporary life, and an edition of that version found its way to Indonesia. There it was further adapted into Malay as Sibakal and given a contemporary Indonesian background. In 1941 this production in turn served as basis for Tame Jaja's novel of the same title, by which time the story had become all but unrecognizable. The earliest American production of a play titled The Miser was in fact of Fielding's version in the years following 1766. A Broadway production of a translation of Molière's play ran for only 3 nights at the Experimental Theatre in 1936, and there have been several revivals since in one version or another. An audio recording of the 1969 Lincoln Center production was released by Cadman Records, TRS 338. Today this is the only known English recording of the play, and there is no translator listed in the album liner notes. More recently in Britain, John Coates' English Scots version of The Miser was performed in 2009 under the title The Old Skinflint. In 2012 the play was made into a Bollywood musical titled Kanju's The Miser by Hardeep Singh Kohli and Jatinder Verma, and toured the UK. Film and television adaptations. L'Avare is a French movie from 1980, directed by and starring Louis de Funès. The play was also filmed by the Comédie Française in 1973. The Italian film Lavoro was made in 1990 by Tarnino Cervi. There were also television adaptations in Italy and France. On the 2nd of April 1988, the BBC broadcast an updated, period adaptation to an English setting in the Theatre Night series using the Alan Drury translation. Works cited: